She walked into the room, and every conversation stopped. Whispers rippled through the crowd as people exchanged uneasy glances. To them, she was trouble, someone to avoid at all costs. They said she was dangerous, unpredictable, a walking storm in a small town desperate for peace. But no one knew the real her. They only saw the rumors, the exaggerated stories that painted her as someone to fear. What led to this? Who was she before the town turned its back on her? As the truth began to unravel, it became clear that everything they thought they knew was wrong. Her story wasn't one of destruction. It was one of heartbreak, survival, and resilience. But by the time they realized the weight of their accusations, it was too late. Stay tuned to discover the truth about the girl they feared and the story that shattered their hearts. She wasn't always the woman people crossed the street to avoid. Once, she was a bright spark in the town, full of laughter and dreams. She worked at the old diner on Main Street, greeting every customer with a warm smile and a kind word. People used to love her, until the day everything changed. It started with whispers, small, ugly rumors that seemed to come out of nowhere. Someone claimed they'd seen her arguing with a stranger late at night. Others said she'd been acting strange, hiding things, avoiding people. Soon, the stories snowballed, and the town's perception of her shifted. To them, she was no longer the sweet, hard-working girl they knew. She became something darker, someone they couldn't trust. But no one thought to ask her why. What was she hiding? What was the truth behind those rumors? And why did her eyes always carry that silent, heartbreaking pain? The turning point came one stormy night when a stranger arrived in town. He was quiet, kept to himself, but his presence seemed to stir something in her. People noticed her slipping out of her usual routines, disappearing for hours at a time. Whispers grew louder. Was she meeting him? Was he the reason for her strange behavior? The more questions they asked, the more distant she became, and the less they trusted her. Then, a mysterious incident shook the town. Something happened near the edge of the woods, where the stranger had been spotted weeks before. No one knew the full story, but the rumors were enough to cast a shadow over her. They said she had been seen there too, just before the commotion. But while the town painted her as dangerous, there was another side to this story, one no one dared to see. Who was the stranger to her? And why did her actions, however odd, seem driven by something deeper than anyone realized? Something she was trying so hard to protect. The town couldn't stop talking about the night in the woods. Every detail, real or imagined, was analyzed and twisted into something darker. Someone claimed they saw her carrying something heavy near the tree line. Others swore they heard raised voices echoing through the storm. The stranger had vanished without a trace, and she was at the center of it all. The sheriff paid her a visit, but her answers were vague, her eyes distant. She seemed to be carrying a weight too heavy for words, but she wouldn't explain herself. The townsfolk watched her every move, their suspicions growing with each passing day. People started locking their doors, whispering about what she might do next. But behind closed curtains, her story was unraveling. Late at night, when the streets were empty, she would venture out, always heading toward the woods. What was she looking for? Or who? Whatever it was about to come to light, and the truth would change everything. One night, as she made her way to the woods, she wasn't alone. A group of townspeople, fueled by curiosity and fear, decided to follow her. They kept their distance, careful not to alert her, but their minds raced with possibilities. What was she doing out here so late? As they crept closer, they saw her stop at a clearing, the moonlight revealing a hidden space that had gone unnoticed for years. There, in the middle of the clearing, was a small, makeshift memorial. Flowers, candles, and an old photo rested at its center. It was of a young boy, a face the townspeople barely remembered. But for her, it was clear this wasn't just a forgotten memory. This was personal. Then came the twist they didn't expect. As she knelt by the memorial, a faint sound broke the silence. The group froze, realizing they weren't the only ones watching her. Something, or someone, was moving in the shadows. Whatever was hidden in the woods wasn't just her secret anymore, and the truth was closer than anyone imagined. The crowd stood in stunned silence, their suspicion replaced by guilt and shame. The woman, who had endured their judgment for so long, finally held her head high. The truth was out now: her brother's disappearance, the sheriff's cover-up, and the lengths she had gone to for justice. She had fought, not for herself, but for the memory of someone she loved deeply. As the stranger helped her gather the notebook and memorial items, the townspeople began to step forward, offering apologies that felt small against the weight of what she had endured. She didn't say much in return, her focus on the journey ahead. Justice was still unfinished, and she wasn't stopping now. As she walked away from the woods, the air felt lighter. The town had been shaken, forced to confront its own darkness. And while the scars remained, so did her strength, a quiet reminder that the truth always finds its way.